So with everything being announced for Halloween Horror Nights this year, there's only one thing left to do. Well, I mean, besides go to the park and experience Halloween Horror Nights, it's time for my most anticipated list of 2021. Almost said 2020 there. Well, I mean, I guess I could have. You know what I mean. Roll the intro. Hello, hi, and welcome to the channel if you're new around these parts. I'm Zombie Chris, and this is my channel, and we talk about all things that are spooky, the Halloween season, haunts. We talk about theme parks and horror movies as well. So if any of that sounds rather interesting, stick around, watch a couple videos. If you like what you see, go ahead and click that subscribe button. We are on the road to 7K. I can't believe it. Without further ado, let's get to this anticipation list. Now, I want to preface this by saying I took a different approach with this list this year. I didn't want to just do like, oh, these are my top favorites. I tried to kind of come up with a concept that made me put these houses in a certain order, if that makes very much sense. So in my idea, my logic was like I was given a golden ticket. This golden ticket will expire. Doesn't know when it's going to expire, but it's a golden ticket to see the houses. And it could expire in 5 minutes, it could expire in 30 minutes, and I could only see so many houses. What houses was I dying to absolutely like see? And if I couldn't see the other houses, that's how they kind of went in that order. So we're going to start with houses and then the scare zones and the shows. So number 10 for me should be, no surprise, the one and only Now, the reason why Tooth Fairy is at number 10 spot, well, I've been through the house and I just wasn't on that hype train. Everyone else loved it last year for the preview. Everyone went so hyped about it. And I just didn't get the hypeness. Like, cool looking house. I'll give them that. But the Tooth Fairy design I thought was horrible. I thought they just wasn't scary. I thought the house was kind of sloppy when it came to kind of the storytelling. As far as like the characters, they just didn't look all that great. I'm not gonna, plexiglass is whatever. That's just not gonna, like, I'm not gonna give them a notch because of that. But just overall, I was like, oh, that's a nice house. It could have been put in a tent. It didn't need to have a soundstage, but nice house. And number 9 might be a shocker for some people out there, and that is the one, the only, the ghost with the most, Beetlejuice. Hey everybody, I'm coming in at number 9. Now this is kind of shocking because most folks have not seen the Beetlejuice house unless you just didn't want to see it and you didn't watch the POV or you didn't go to the daytime tour. It's not a bad house by any means. It's a fun house. I love the movie, and don't give me that whole, oh, you're not a fan of the movie so you won't get the house. No, I love the movie, got every single reference. I was cheering, I was smiling for certain scenes. I was like, oh, that's the thing, that's cool. And it's a good house. It's a solid house, but I've already seen it. And the fact that number 8, I enjoyed way more than this. Like, number 8 was like my favorite of the 3. I kept going through number 8 so many times. I loved it, loved the dialogue in it, loved all the creation in it, that this one was just a little bit behind that one. So Beetlejuice comes in for my number 9. And speaking of number 8, let's get to that one. The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Like I said, I love this house. Love the design of it. Love all the stuff in it. Love the dialogue. Love the just everything. And I'm not like really a classic Monsters like fan. Like I haven't dove into that world. So for me, it was like, wow, this is like really, really cool stuff here. This is like awesome. Like I love going through this so many times and seeing so many different things. I just think it's an excellent house from the start to the finish. Number 7, no surprise here, probably. It's got to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I unlike Lodge, yes, I'm calling you out, Lodge. Unlike Lodge and a few others, I actually enjoyed the house when it was last here. I really thought it was an awesome house. I don't see what everyone's problem with it was. It's Texas Chainsaw. It's very tight corridors. It was in a tent house. They did pretty good, in my opinion. So I'm excited for this one. It's in a soundstage. What I'm hearing, it's supposed to be like a little bit of 1 and maybe a little bit of 2, or maybe it's bridging between them. So it's going to be interesting to see where it falls in, what scenes do they throw in, and Texas Chainsaw in a soundstage just sounds scary to me. So I'm excited for it. Number 6, this is where I'm going to start pissing people off. You can leave your hate down in the comments for me, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some words exchanged. Number 6 for me is you love them, you hate them. The HHN icons and HHN icons captured. Why is this number 6 for me? It's probably like number 1, number 2 for a lot of people. It's number 6 for me because I've been going to the event since HHN 13. So I've seen the director, I've seen the caretaker multiple times, seen Jack, seen Chance. A storyteller I never got to do, but I have seen her. It's not like I haven't got to see her. Lady Luck. I've seen all the icons. Went through their years, except for minus like the storyteller. But I've, other than that. So for me, it's like, that's cool that they're back. I much appreciate it. They need to be back. It's an anniversary year. That's great. But I've seen them before. I've been through that. So for me, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm sure I'll love it. But, kind of seen it, kind of done it. Number 5 for me is Puppet Theater, Captive Audience. Now, the reason why it is coming in at number 5, and it's because of the reason, like I said before, where I've only had so much time to do so many houses. So that like top 5 had to be very, very spot on, very important for me. And I felt like we've seen a majority of this house through that video announcement that they did way back last year, where they showed us a good portion of it. And I know seeing a house is not the same as going through the house, but I feel like we've seen what this house kind of has to offer us, unless there's some stuff they didn't show us and I'm going to be amazed. I mean, it seems like a solid tent house. The facade is great. Scares look like they're kind of cool. But it's a puppet house. Like, there's not much more than that. I mean, we'll see. They've got probably some great scare actors in it who are going to bring it to that level. I'm going to be terrified to go through it. But right now it's sitting at number 5 for me. Number 4, and I'm flip-flopping right on the spot because I had the list, but I had to think about it. So number 4 is going to be Legendary Truth Case Files Unearthed. The only reason why this is coming in at number 4, like, I like the idea of this house, Legendary Truth. We got these like mystical like monsters. I don't know, like it's Legendary Truth, and they haven't had a really good track record when it comes to houses, believe it or not. Like the Bloody Mary house was not that great. That involved Legendary Truth to some extent, and then the other Legendary Truth house, I forgot what it was called. Oh yeah, Legendary Truth, the Wandent Estate. Not that great of a house either. And then the repository that had Legendary Truth involved didn't stick around, obviously. Wasn't really that well received. So they don't really have a good track record, come to think about it. And it's kind of funny because everyone loves Legendary Truth. Like, we're all fans of it. It's a part of the event. But they don't have a great track record when it comes to doing things at the event, except for that bonus like experience that they did before the repository. That was actually cool. I think the 2 years that they did it, because they had it, I think, back-to-back years. But anyway, yeah, this one maybe we'll see how this is going to be. The Wicked Growth. Now, I love pumpkins. I love the fall season. I think it's just so much. I want to be engrossed in this house. Like, I want to just live in it, smell in it, breathe in it. Maybe not breathe in it because it probably will smell. But just everything they mentioned in the description for this house sounded really, really cool. And where I thought it was just going to be like, oh, pumpkins and pumpkin scare actors, it's like we're going through a graveyard and a like a witch's cottage and all this other type of stuff. So it sounds really, really dope. It sounds like it's got that scarecrow vibe mixed with maybe like a graveyard games ish type of thing. So it's like those two mixed together, along with like the harvest being kind of sprinkled on top. So really, really interested in this house. I'm hoping this house hits. I'm hoping it is like up there. I'm hoping I walk through and I'm like, oh my God, I love this house. I'm hoping that's the feeling I get. But without further ado, number 2, please. Number 2 is got to be Scary Ohio. The much anticipated, elongated, best of Halloween Horror Nights house for this year. It's supposed to be dope. It's supposed to be everything that we want. It's supposed to have so many different things jam-packed in there. Stuff they didn't mention. Stuff that's from the history's past. I'm hoping it is just a museum of everything for Horror Nights. The only thing the caveat that I was like, when they said the hive, I was like, really? We're doing the hive in this house? I mean, I hope they only have like one scene or 2 scenes, but a best of house is always a good mixture. It's always a good time. You're always going to get stuff that you either never got to experience or stuff you want to relive again. So that's why it is my number 2 most anticipated house. Now, number 1, obviously, if you've been following along, is the Ghost House, aka the Spook House, aka the house with the ghost that won't leave. I was going to say the house on Haunting Hill. The Haunting of Hill House is number 1. And just from everything that they've talked about, you can tell that there is such a love behind the crafting of this house. The facade looks god darn beautiful. God, that facade. Woo! I've never seen something so gorgeous at Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm eager to see that facade. The fact that they said this is slowly going to build up. Not so much like, it's going to be a very slow build up. And then once it hits, it's going to be like, bam, ghost everywhere. I'm just wondering how they're going to do that. If there's going to be like projections, screens, is there going to be like ghosts in the background that don't necessarily scare you, but they're just there? Are things going to silently like start moving and you're going to be like, wait a minute, did I just see that thing move? Or is that thing moving? Or like they're going to play mind tricks on us. I'm a fan of the show. I love my favorite episode is the funeral home episode. I think it's what it's called. That episode blew my mind. So I'm eager for this house. I love the first season. So I am on board for this. This is my most anticipated list when it comes to the houses. Now let's talk about the scare zones. Now, this is going to surprise some people.